A little while back, I began looking for the cheapest car to maintain on the roads today. And pretty early on, a few things became very clear. First of all, it had to be one of the best-selling cars of its time, so that parts would be cheap and widely available. But above all, it had to be equipped with a petrol engine, as most modern diesels have regular and quite costly maintenance requirements, and most of them end up on the scrap heap before they reach 20 years of age. Except old Mercs. Old Mercs never die. So what was the winner? The humble Mark V Volkswagen Golf equipped with a 1.4 litre petrol engine. So after all the research, we found this low mileage, only two owner example that we were able to pick up for just 600 euros. As you can imagine, being 20 years old and having such a low price, it did have a few little things wrong with it, such as the rear brakes. When we picked up the car from its owner, they were metal on metal with two partially seized rear calipers. So the first job when we got it back was to replace those for the princely sum of just 136 euros for two new calipers and new pads and discs on both sides. The clutch was a little worn out. Replacing it only cost 69.50, which was very good. But while I was under here doing that, I discovered this. It seems that somebody left the apprentice unsupervised someday, and they went ahead and rounded out or cross-threaded the sun plug and decided to fix it with silicone. With this being the cheapest car on the roads to maintain, a brand new replacement is just 59 euros 2 cents. Even replacing this old headlight switch that the detail had worn off of was just 12 quid on Amazon, of all places. Along with needing a door lock for the passenger side, which the micro switch has failed in, a replacement door lock is just 24 euros and some cents. It also has a chronic misfire on cylinder 3. Took it down to a friend's garage, we did a compression test, and cylinder 3 was very low on compression, meaning that this poor little engine here is also suffering another one of the common problems that's seen with these, which is that they burn out these guys. This is an exhaust valve. So today's job is to strip apart the top end of the engine, split the cylinder head off and replace the valves. All that soot and grime inside the inlet manifold is from the exhaust gas recirculation system, the EGR. Now that we've got it in at the workbench, we can take a proper look. Oh my god, look at the state of those. Look in here. And look at that, look at the crack. There's our culprit there. It's a very rare occasion that this tool comes out. This is a valve spring compressor. And what it does is it locks on the bottom side of the valve and compresses the spring down to allow you to remove the collets from the top of the valve. The collets are the little locking tabs that hold the spring washer in place. With the valve now removed from the head, you can get a much better idea of the damage that's been done to it. This edge here is the seat of the valve. You can see how it's been squared off in a number of places, as well as being badly cracked right there. It's a common fault with these engines, both the naturally aspirated and the turbo 1.4s. They all seem to do it on either cylinders 3 or 4, and sometimes 1 as well. So now the lengthy cleanup process begins. Get rid of all this soot out of all the ports and replace all the valves, and then we can finally start getting it back together and get it back to life again. Adding the valves is done through a process called lapping in. How that basically works is you get a small lapping stick, or a lapping paddle as it's known, has a little rubber suction cup on the end which attaches to the valve, and you'll fit the valve into the port, and using a bit of grinding paste you physically rub the valve seat, which is the edge of it here, against the edge of the port until the two of them make a perfect mating surface. And that is what a freshly ground valve seat looks like. You can see it on the port as well, where it's been freshly ground, compared to the one beside it that hasn't. This is basically what the valves do every time the piston comes up on its exhaust stroke. They open up, let the exhaust gas back out of the cylinder again. managed to clean most of the crud out of the manifold by leaving it soak in petrol overnight and just rinsing it out then. So that's kind of got a lot of the crud out. But all of that's caused by the EGR, the exhaust gas recirculation, sending the sooty fumes back into the inlet manifold. And this is the EGR in question, full of soot, dumping crap back into the inlet manifold, clogging the engine up full of carbon. So I have a new one to replace it, which was only 30 something quid on Amazon of all places. So we'll be fitting that on. Another wonderful cheap little part for these cars. Benzo spark plugs, good triple electrode, only a £5 each. Thanks to the wonderful individual who decided to destroy the sump bung. Anyway, to get the oil out now is to remove the oil level sensor, which is less than ideal. When I had a look up inside the sump strainer to see whether there are any carbon deposits, look what I found. Flippin' donkeys. So if I was to play detective, I would say whoever was at that, they over tightened the sump bung, spun the threads, tried to repair it with a helicoil, which failed. The bolt still wouldn't tighten, so they jammed it full of silicone. The helicoil that they attempted to use ran all the way through and into the sump, got sucked up into the strainer, and had it gone through, it would have written off the entire engine. Now, helicoils in general aren't used by the public. It's more of a mechanic's tool to repair damaged threads in emergency situations. Should never be used in this application. So it's safe to say that this wasn't done by an individual, a have a go at home kind of thing. This was done by a garage. Very important who you bring your cars to. Now has all its fluids, batteries reconnected. I've cleared all the fault codes inside from everything being unplugged. Dare I say, time for the moment of truth. Oh yes, just for a straight up start, that's very not bad. I can hear just an intermittent little, just tick 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 somewhere here, so there's obviously a tappet that needs good oil pressure to get around, but the sun is almost set now, so time to take it for a drive and see what she does. Seems to be driving perfectly, not overheating, not smoky, back running on all 4 cylinders again, unleashing its full horsepower, all 75 of them. But all that aside, let's cut to the chase. How much did it actually cost to do all that work on the cheapest car to fix on the roads today? Well, for rear brake pads, discs, 2 new calipers, thermostat, oil filter, gallon of oil, an ignition coil, a side indicator, a window switch, a clutch kit, a head gasket set, 8 inlet valves, 8 exhaust valves, an oil sump, brand new, 4 spark plugs, a door lock, an EGR valve and a headlight switch. The total cost was just 619 euros. 619. That's less than a third of what it cost you in most places to get it done, and damn near what it costs you just to get a general service done, depending on what car you're driving. Adding in the total cost then of the purchase of the car itself, and that brings it all up to just 1,219 euros for a good as new Mark V Volkswagen Golf. Nothing wrong with that. But with all that out of the way, there's still one big question. Now that it's all fixed up, what do I do with it? Do I put it on the market as an excellent condition used car? Make a great little learner car for some teenager out there? Or do I hang on to it myself and drive it around as a cheap runabout? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.